I remember one hit, I was on the ground, and after that, I don't remember anything until I came to in the cell block.
Chaos turned a quiet western New York village upside down when a group of inmates at Attica Correctional took over. It would be known as the bloodiest prison rebellion in American history and a massive stain on the political career of then New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller.
45 years ago today, the Attica Correctional Facility was retaken by force. One of the surviving hostages spoke with News 4's Jen Shantz. Jen?
Well, Don, John Stockholm was all of 23 years old when he faced the most trying 5 days of his life. The day the riot began, his oldest child started kindergarten. The days that followed would change him and the quiet village he called home forever. The world watched in horror for 5 days in September of 1971 as a New York prison became a battlefield. American prisons were overcrowded and understaffed, and there was a broad disconnect between inmates of color and largely white guard populations.
Medical care was poor. They got one roll of toilet paper a month, one shower a week.
John Stockholm had been on the job 19 months when the riots started, September 9th, 1971. Stocky, as his friends called him, was often in charge of multiple groups of inmates, like he was that morning.
Especially going to mess hall in the morning. If they're running short, it would be nothing to take maybe 2.5, sometimes 3 full companies, in which would be anywhere from 100 to 120 inmates.
The riots started totally by accident. It was unplanned. Guards grabbed a convict, they got the wrong guy. Some prisoners bunched up in a corridor, and it was kind of chaos for a while. And a door that was supposed to restrain them broke.
29 inmates and 10 hostages would die. Dozens would be injured, and the village of Attica would never be the same.
The officers were being pelted with rocks, weights, anything the inmates could pick up and throw.
Moments after the riots started, the 23-year-old guard looked up to see around 30 inmates charging down the corridor towards him.
It was almost like slow motion. They ripped the baton off my key ring, and then I got hit in the head, and I guess with a mop wringer, my baton, and I believe a mop handle. And at that point, I was out cold. And when I came to, I had approximately 4 inmates in the cell. They've taken me in the corridor and put me in a cell. And at that point, I was bleeding quite profusely from my head. So they took my shirt, which is all bloody, and put one of theirs on me.
Other guards and civilian employees were forced to wear prison uniforms as well. Many of the hostages were also blindfolded and had their hands tied.
You could hear windows being broken. Cell doors were being slammed back open, back up and again. And I was just praying to get out of there.
After one group of inmates attacked him, Stockholm remembers being protected by another.
I would say 10% that was in the yard wanted to be there, the other 90% didn't.
As the hours and days passed, the state faced a big dilemma.
Nelson Rockefeller just lost patience. He wanted to make another run for president. He was worried that he was being perceived as too liberal. And he decided to have the prison retaken by force.
On the morning of September 13th, 1971, a state police helicopter began dropping tear gas on Attica's yard. State law enforcement, the majority of whom had no experience inside Attica's walls, according to historians, were sent in armed with rifles.
In Attica, it was just a bloodbath. There were state police, there were prison guards, there were even game wardens shooting into that yard. It was one book about it by a state official was called The Turkey Shoot.
Just before state force came in, Stockholm was taken up on one of the catwalks with 7 other hostages. When you were up there, was there a part of you saying, yeah, this is the end?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I had made my amends. And I'm not afraid to say it. Yeah, I was scared to death.
Half of them never made it out of Attica. They were killed by trooper fire.
4 were killed on the catwalk. 1 was shot 5 times. and he has survived, and the other three came out together. Three of us came out together, and we left in the ambulance together.
After almost 5 days, it was hard to understand that it was finally over. Stockholm was in shock. When he was first discovered by state troopers, he was mistaken for an inmate, as he was still wearing the shirt they'd put him in.
He met me nose to nose. He grabbed me by the shirt, swung me around, and I hit the wall, and down I slid. And one of the officers said, "No, he's one of ours." And he puts his hand down. He said, "Good luck, son."
Stockholm was treated at the hospital and given 6 months leave. After that, he was back on the job. He walked the corridors and catwalks of the place where he was once held hostage for another 30 years. He's now retired and a grandfather. Driving by Attica Correctional, he thinks of the guards he served with and the ones who never made it home.
I'm just one of the lucky ones.
Well, Stockholm tells me that he is still learning the truth about what really happened in the yard to this day. Now, to truly understand the failures of 1971, you have to understand what led up to the riots and the state's role in ending it. A new book recently came out detailing the shortcomings and the cover-ups of the Rockefeller administration. I spoke to the author about what we've learned since Attica. Don't miss part 2 of this story coming up tonight on News 4 at 11. For now, live in the studio, Jen Shantz, News 4 at 6.